Hey, happy Saturday. This is Jeff with the Jeff Show and accompanied by my lovely host, Sharon. Hey, Sharon, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. And of course, we have a very special guest today. I want to get your title correctly. We have Reverend Dr. David Adamovich. Did I say that right?
Close enough. It'll
Close
do.
enough.
I think most people say Adamovich, but whatever you said is
Oh,
close enough.
Adamovich.
Just don't
Okay.
call me late for dinner, as the saying goes.
No. It's a pleasure having you on and learning over the last couple of weeks, just learning about the knife throwing and the true crime aspect, which is funny because I think I knew about the true crime aspect from you inadvertently. I didn't really know it was coming from you as I learned all about you. It's pretty exciting. So, Sharon, I believe you have some questions to start us off with.
I do. Um, so you are you still a reverend?
Well, once a reverend, always a reverend, yes. But
Okay.
I'm actually, let me correct that for you.
Okay.
There's several things that somebody says sometimes in your lifetime, and you go, wait a minute, you got that all wrong.
Yes.
Reverend is a title for someone who's a clergyman. So, like, I am a minister, but a priest, a minister, even a rabbi would at times all be referred to as the reverend or reverend, which means the respected. So you're
Okay.
not a reverend, you're the reverend something. And um, as a minister, I'm, the Reverend Dr. David Adamovich, but the doctorate's from another part of my life. But so, yes,
Okay.
I'm still a minister. We got around to answering that. Go ahead.
Okay, great.
Well,
I was wondering how your knife throwing and your curated collection goes down with all that sort of history that you have with the um church and all that sort of thing.
Well, I wear a lot of different hats, and
It's yeah.
at times they collide, at times they're entirely independent. But I have always said throughout my entire life, with each new career, with each new endeavor that I've done, you never lose who you were. You cannot lose who you were. And hopefully, it's to your advantage who you were into who you're becoming. Now, for the last 23 years, I've been a professional knife thrower. But I entered knife throwing at the age of 50. And I began as a performer at the age of 55. And so I had all this other stuff behind me. Actually, the title, I'll give you the official title that I used to use on stage as an introduction. The announcer would say, ladies and gentlemen, the great Throwdini and his target girl, the lovely, daring, and talented Lynn. I'd come out and I go, whoa, 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 let's not get so formal. Let's just do it this way. My real name is the Reverend Dr. David Adamovich, retired professor with a doctorate in exercise physiology, paramedic, pool hall owner, professionally trained chef, ordained minister, and in my spare time, I throw knives. My friends call me Throw. Now I can add to that, and I'm currently the owner and curator of the world's largest serial killer collection with over
see.
9,000 letters. Okay, having said that, that hopefully puts in perspective when people refer to me as a Renaissance man or one thing or another. But all those things that I mentioned, all part of my past, are brought into who I am today, where I am today, and speaking to you, because you apparently found out about this strange character, perhaps through the serial killer world. So you may have found out about me through the entertainment show business world. But all of these things brought me to where I am, you are, where both of you are today. Every decision you made in your life brought you to where you are right now, good, bad, or indifferent. And hopefully you're in a good place. I'm sorry, you're in a good place now, which made everything worthwhile. So
I
how
like
do I
that.
how do I divide those things? I
Yeah.
don't divide them. They're all me. that's the bundle that you're talking to. And yeah, I can separate the discussion, but really I can't because it's all me.
It's all part of you. And I want to kind of go just a little bit back on and being a minister, because that's one portion I didn't really get to research on. And I don't know if there's a lot out there. I'm thinking, an ordained minister, you can confer weddings. Can we do exorcisms? That's where, if I was in the religious world, has it ever come up for you?
No,
No.
my minister world has been predominantly weddings on weekends, funerals, and baptisms,
Okay.
and any combination thereof. But that's it. I don't deal with the congregation kind of thing.
Got it.
So thousands of weddings, quite a few funerals, quite a few baptisms. Each of those has their own story. Every single one of them is different. And that all accumulatively makes me who I am right now.
It's the stories that draw us in. It's, do you have any experiences from that time? And how long have you been a minister? Did you say already?
Ooh, 85, 30, 40 years.
A while.
Yeah, a long time.
Is there any specific moment that sticks out that was the most memorable or the most odd out of the whole time?
Oh gosh. I was doing a wedding and I'm looking at the bride, and her dad is next to her and the groom is there. And hey, the dad was standing up with us. No, the dad was at my side. He was like kind of her bridesmaid, maid of honor, whatever. So the dad was up next to me and I couldn't see him. I'm looking, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the bride and groom. I'm ready to pronounce them husband and wife. And all of a sudden I see this strange look in her face. And she's not looking at me. She's staring over my shoulder at her dad. And she was watching her dad turn white. His eyes rolled up and he dropped down to the ground, dead.
Oh,
Heart attack right
no.
there. Boom. Guy drops down.
That's horrible.
I hear the thump. I look over and I go, no problem, peeps. I got this under control. I'm a paramedic. So
Oh,
I pull off my gown. I
Yeah.
jump down on the guy and I start doing CPR on him. And in those days, you were allowed to do a precordial thump, which means you bang the chest. Hopefully you can revert ventricular fibrillation if that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I did. I brought the guy back, and he suddenly he looks up, he looks at me, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I thought I died and went to heaven." So
Very
there you are.
close.
That's one of those cool stories.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think my first words were, "Did we have cake yet?" Is where I probably would have been. Can you imagine the day of your wedding would have been in like the best and the worst day of your
and the
life?
best, yeah.
Yeah, well, I saved the day. And then there was,
Yeah.
if you will, is a kind of racially funny one. I was the only white person at an entirely black wedding. And the bride's father was in her dressing room ahead of time. And he suddenly passed out and dropped to the ground. And I did the same thing. No problem, peeps. I'm a paramedic. I'll take care of this. And somebody said he's a diabetic. So I get, okay, somebody get me some orange juice. I give the guy orange juice. He comes out of it and he looks up at me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, God is white."
Oh, God. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite an honor.
Yeah, okay, I'm cool.
Part of your
I'm
title.
great, but not that great.
Also add Dee to the end of your title.
Yeah, let's do the wedding. We're okay.
That's great.
Dad's alive. So yeah, that's the stories can go on and on. But
Wow.
anyway, let's move on.
Yes. Thank you for those stories, though. That satisfies that curiosity.
That's
Great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon, did you have any other questions that kind of in line with how we started?
Well, not with weddings, definitely not weddings, but have you ever injured anyone or yourself with the knife throwing?
You had to ask that, right?
I did.
Yes.
All right. First of all, I'm going to introduce this answer another way. Most people say to me, how long have you been throwing knives at your assistants? And I go, I never throw at, I throw around. They last a lot longer that way.
Yes.
And one of my target girls, Tina, had a scar on her forehead. And it wasn't from me, but we were doing America's Got Talent, and Jerry Springer was the on stage talent with the people who were performing. And Jerry looks at her, this was off camera before we went on air, and he looks at the mark on her head, and she goes, "Did Throwdini do that?" And Tina immediately came back with, "Jerry, we don't talk about that since the accident."
Oh boy.
Nailed it. She was on. Anyway,
Yes.
yes, in the 23 years and hundreds of shows that I've done, I have scraped my assistant on occasion. And one of them was I used to, when I first started, I put a balloon between her legs. She would hold two balloons here, one between her legs. And I would I'd break the balloons and then go for the one between the legs. And I was a little off in the throw, and the axe scraped her thigh. Broke the balloon, but it scraped her thigh.
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't like that." And I said, "That's okay." And we never did it again.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, I was man enough to admit, yep, I screwed up on that. And also smart enough to say, if it didn't make her happy, it certainly didn't make me happy. So we never did the stunt again.
That's
And
fair
on,
enough.
one or two other
Yeah.
occasions, because I throw close and I throw fast, I have scraped the arm. The knife is rotating. It doesn't come in like a dart. It comes in rotating. So here's the board. The knife comes in. Got one right here. Comes in like this and sticks in the board. But if I'm her body in front of the board, if that's where the knife sticks, when as it's rotating in here, if I hit her body, it's as the knife is rotating. It's not hitting her body at the point like that. It's
Yeah.
coming across her body like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Okay,
it's
so there's this rotation going on, and if I make a mistake on a good throw, in the sense that it's a good throw that the point is in the right place at the right time, and it's a bad throw because I hit her, the hit is actually a scrape along the side of her body. It's not an impalement.
right.
And yes, I have on a couple occasions been too close and too fast, and the knife did scrape her arm or whatever. And I was doing one time a stunt behind a paper veil, and I had two assistants behind a 4 foot wide piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I threw three knives up one side, three knives up the other, and three right between them. And when I was going up the one side, the way she was standing or turning, the knife actually went through her shirt, scraped her back, came out of the shirt, and stuck to the board. So when the paper came down and the two of them were supposed to come forward for an applause, one came forward and one didn't. And I'm pointing to Lynn, I'm saying, "Come on." And she goes, "I can't, I'm stuck to the board."
That's very
So
close. But
that's,
yeah.
yeah.
But you do have it down to a science. You had the physics. I think you even had like how far you had to be from them and
yeah.
the angle of it. So the times that you were a little too close, what do you think were the factors that was it where you kind of you rushed it or is just a flick of the wrist that was wrong?
Um, there's a certain margin of error in my accuracy.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say that sometimes I push the limits on that, especially when I'm throwing fast or if I'm throwing blind or through the paper veil, then I don't know. I'm throwing to an area, so I don't know where she is behind that paper. I know where she should be, but I don't know how close she is to within my margin of error. So there's always that risk that those two things will
Yes.
collide, and there could be a problem.
Those are my favorite that you do, especially on the spinning wheel. You got the paper veil there. I think it's phenomenal what you do. Leads to a question is, with this being it's a performance, it's a business. Do you have to carry crazy insurance for this for any type of incident?
Well, there is a performance insurance, and oddly, it has nothing to do with me or the assistant. The insurance is a liability insurance that protects the venue in the
Uh,
event one of my knives goes astray and damages a light or a speaker or the floor,
okay.
or something like that. But the insurance does not cover a bad throw hitting a human being. So anytime, my assistants usually have their own medical insurance. I would, of course, pick up any deductible should there be an issue. But no, the liability insurance does not cover oops, the big oops. It only covers the stupid oops, like the floor and the board.
But you're
Wow.
good, and it won't come to it won't come to that. We have faith in your knife throwing. And have you always had just one assistant? Well, you've had multiple if there's two. And how do you choose your assistants, and how do you get them to agree to it?
There've been some 23 or 24 over my career. And it's not because we fight. Well, it's not because we fight or we disagree or I hit them. Um, my career as a knife thrower has always been ancillary to my life. It wasn't my life. So I own a pool hall. I did all these other things while I'm throwing knives. And so the gigs would be on the weekends or an occasional worldwide trip. So it would be, hey, who's available? Because these girls, since we're not, I didn't come from a circus family that's doing a circus act 24/7, 365. So my career has been episodic. Even though I've done a lot, it's the weekends, it's the evenings, etc. So I get a job and I say, "Hey, you available to go to China for 3 days or a week?" And the girl says, "No, I can't possibly take off of work." Okay, who's next on the list? And I go to the next girl. So I've had many over the years precisely for that reason.
Very definitely situational. That's
Yeah.
cool. And I came across a question, and I it actually answered for myself. I want to hear your story because I found like, have you ever had a knife thrown at you? And then I discovered the triple crown. You can discuss that for us.
Yes. Ripley's Believe It or Not picked up something that I did, and it was referred to as the Triple Crown. And I'm the only person ever to catch a bullet, an arrow, and a knife. And they made a cartoon about it, which, of course, to me is just fantastic. Makes me feel like I'm a piece of Americana to be in a Ripley's cartoon. But the Triple Crown was to catch a bullet in a steel cup in my hand. It's the same thing that David Blaine did in his mouth, but I used my hand instead. Then I caught a knife that was thrown to the side of me. I reached up and grabbed it in the air. And then I caught an arrow. We stepped outside, and the guy was about 30 something feet away. And it was actually Chris McDaniel who shot the bullet and who threw the knife. He threw the knife, he shot the bullet, and he shot the arrow. And as the arrow came by, I reached up and grabbed it. So I'm the only one to do all three.
It's crazy. Did it take a
And
couple
while we're at
times?
it gets better.
Yeah.
I created a stunt called a knife catch, which I have the world record for 25 in a minute. And, from a full spin, someone was throwing knives next to me, and I was reaching up and grabbing them approximately every 2 seconds. That's why it was 25 in the minute. And so someone dropped, and that's why it wasn't 30. But we were repeating it in a world record show before an evening performance at Coney Island. And I said, "Dick, faster," because I wanted to beat the 25. So he was throwing faster. His throw perhaps got a little off. And in the fervor, I had my hand up at the wrong place to grab it. And I took up one of these right in the hand, like that, literally to the other side, went punctured right in. And I reached, I grabbed it, I pulled it out. Blood was dripping off my hand. I grab it, I turn to the audience and I go, "Show's over, see you later." And walked right off the stage into the bathroom, turned on the water, and just let it run across my hand as the blood was pouring out. I bandaged it up, lied in my trailer for 3 hours before the evening show, and then went and did the show with the bandage on my hand. And instead of grabbing the knife the way I usually do, which is like this, I grabbed it like this. And I did the whole show with a pinch grip instead of the full grip. Show must go on.
Yeah, that could be a
Is the
huge
answer.
difference as far as the grip. And
Yeah.
with your knife there, if you could show that up for us again, with your initials on there, is it aerodynamic for them to punch
Oh, no,
through?
no, no.
That's just
Nothing good.
aesthetic.
TGT, the great Throwdini.
Yeah,
That's all.
just a cool
And
look. It doesn't. I mean,
no,
for it
no.
going all the way through is nothing special about
And
that.
while I have that up, let me hold this one up.
Yeah. Okay.
That's one of 6 that belong to Harry Houdini. And
Oh wow.
we don't have any documentation that he performed with them, but a colleague of mine, Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, and I wrote an article called the Provenance of Harry Houdini's Throwing Knives, and it was picked up by one of the most famous magic magazines in the world, MUM. This is the magazine of the Society of American Magicians. And we pretty well documented through a variety of means that those were Harry Houdini's knives. We're very confident of the provenance. There's only 6 that exist. I have all 6. One is in a Houdini museum right now. And this will probably be a big surprise to the person who may hear this before October 10th. But I'm going to marry a famous knife thrower out in Las Vegas, and we're going to use one of the Houdini knives as the pillow to put their knives on.
That's pretty neat.
But yeah, I've got all 6, and I'm pretty sure that those were his.
That's really cool. Yeah, he's definitely one of mine, if not everybody's favorite illusionist. And was he a magician too? I mean, he was kind of like a
Harry Houdini,
yeah.
like
He was a trade.
illusionist, famous magician, and when we walk on stage at the beginning of my act, my assistant walks out holding that knife and ceremonially hands it to me. And I take it and I put it on the table. Then at the end of the show, I say, "Oh, by the way, that knife that we walked out with and my assistant gave me," kind of showing a sense of respect and me accepting it from her, "that was Harry Houdini's." And in his honor, I'd like to show you something really special.
Yes. That's cool.
Previously in the act, I have someone pick a card out of a deck, sign the card, put it back in the deck. Then we leave the deck right out on the table for everyone to see full time. It's in their sight. Then at the last thing I do is say, "Okay, I'll show you something special." My assistant takes the deck of cards, springs them in front of the board, and I throw a knife like that, and bam, I nail the signed card. And I go, "There you go." And there's usually the infamous "no way," often with the "no effing way."
Yeah.
Usually "no way." And I just, pull the knife out of the board, pull the card off, show them it's the signed card, and say either "way" or "effing way." And that's how I end my act.
Always with the greatest
Cool.
respect. I would be the same because you can't control just the awesomeness. That'd be great to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then Sharon and I, we had a side bet on before we started this about you
We
hold the
did.
record for the most knives that you can throw within a minute.
I've thrown three within a second, and I have the world record for the most knives thrown around a human target in a minute. As a single knife, it was 102, I think, and throwing three at a time, 144.
We didn't think of that. We thought maybe two at a time, one
Oh,
per hand, but
yeah.
we were way off.
Yeah,
So
we got down to 140 with two.
yeah,
Yeah,
Damn.
144. No, no, that would I set them up on a table in stacks of three. So I would pick up, I had them set up three, three, and three over each other, and then three another way. So I would just pick up the stack of nine plus the three and start throwing. So I'd be peeling out three knives at a time with a hand, I'm sorry, a handful of 12. And altogether, it came out to be 144 in the minute. I didn't drop one knife. I doubt that'll be a record that's ever broken. The single knife that I did 102, that could be broken. Someone who knows how to handle knives and throws fast can do it, but not 144. That ain't gonna happen.
I don't think so. I can't even do one. I've tried.
No, me either. It bounces off the wall.
Yeah, it just it the
When
butt
it
end of
tries
it
to get
hits.
me.
Yeah, I'm all off.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
102 for a single and 144 for uh
Yeah, and
three at a time.
throwing three at a time, yes.
Yep.
And I think one of the last records I did was a 14-inch knife into a 12-inch round from 101 feet. I think that would be 30 meters. Okay, but it was 100. I wanted to do more than
Yep.
100 feet. So I set the target out at 101 feet, and I had a line that was 101 feet from the target, and I stood behind the line, and a few running steps to the toe line and haul that knife off. I'd had to go like 30 feet in the air and then drop toward the target, and I stuck it in a 12-inch round. I wound up tearing my Achilles tendon from the force that I put into my body to throw the knife that far. But several attempts, I got it into the 12-inch round. And then when I'm on stage, I usually say, after the MC introduces me saying, got a whole bunch of world records, blah, blah, blah. I go, well, one of the last ones I did was throwing a 12-inch knife, like a 14-inch knife like this, into a 12-inch round at 101 feet. And, something about the size of your head. And that's where the expression came, you don't mess with the knife thrower. And everyone in the audience fully understands you don't mess with the knife thrower. Because what I usually do, the theater is just under 100 feet. So I say from the stage to somewhere in the street out in front of the theater would be
Yep.
101 feet, to put it in context, to show you how far I threw that knife. And yep, that may be broken someday, but it's a good one.
Have you ever thought about, or have you done anything like William Tell, like something like a apple or a melon in someone's head?
No, and I never will. I don't.
Too risky.
I wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah.
Some people have thrown knives sideways to an apple or something on the head. So it's coming in, like if that's the head, there's an apple on. No, well, that's the apple on the head. The knife or an axe would be coming in this way. Even that's too risky. I wouldn't do it. I have too much respect for my assistant and too
Yeah.
much fear of hurting
Yep.
them to do something stupid like throwing a knife at their head.
And how do you keep your cool when you're doing all this? I would be really nervous. I'm sure that never really goes away, but
Well,
Is that balls of steel?
honestly speaking, before every show to this day, standing there in my tuxedo waiting to be announced, the girl is on my arm, we're waiting to walk out. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? Are you nuts? And all this goes through my head, and I review all the possibilities of all the ways she can get hurt. And so I have this thing, that fear thing that I'm going through. But the moment we run out, I bundle it all, I throw it away, and I do what I got to do. But I think I'd be stupid if I didn't think about that and recognize it and do what I can to control it. So that's I wouldn't say it's an exercise, but it's just the reality of me recognizing the risk she's taking for me and that I must respect it and be careful. And every knife that I throw, there's that
Yeah.
little piece of me that's saying, be careful, don't do this recklessly.
That's great advice. I mean, jokingly, I would say thinking about before I take my family out to a grocery store. What am I doing? I'm taking all these people in the car. Can we
Don't,
make it?
that's a rum and coke hidden in a Manson cup that I made. Believe me, if I started murdering people,
Murdering
there'd be none
people,
of
there'd be
you
none of
left.
you left.
It's one of his best
But the
quotes.
funny thing is, he's one of the most famous quote unquote serial killers, and he never killed anybody.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's just a funny thing.
As far
Uh,
as we know, I've heard some rumors that there could have been
yeah, maybe he
someone in
did.
Mexico, but not
Yeah,
cult
but
like.
Mm,
that's not what he was thrown in jail for.
No,
Uh,
definitely
yeah.
not.
and the other thing is, one of the other cups I made was John Wayne Gacy's infamous last words, which were "kiss my ass."
Yes.
Not true. Not true. I I just had dinner a couple months ago with oh, what's her name? I feel so horrible. I forgot her name. She was Gacy's attorney who was doing his First Amendment case right before he was executed because they were giving him a hard time about all the things he was selling and the money he was making, and he considered that a First Amendment violation. Karen Conti, mwah, lovely woman, Karen Conti. And I went out and met her in Chicago. And then with my friend Dr. Fitzpatrick, who was on Karen's radio show. And then Colleen and I went up to visit the Boyles, which was the family of the attorney that defended Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
So where I'm going in all of this, it was a great field trip for us. We saw Gacy's thing and Gacy's attorney and Dahmer's attorney. And Karen, in her book about her experience with John Wayne Gacy, said he never said that. There were other people that she was with, because she wasn't in at the moment he was executed. She left before, but Gacy never said that. So it's a piece of folklore that he said, "Kiss my ass."
Mm.
It ain't true.
I could say, I wonder what do you think he would say, if anything? Maybe nothing, right? Just stoic.
It's in the book. I didn't read Karen's book. She wrote a
Oh,
book about her experience with
buy
Gacy.
the book. I'll have to read it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I had,
Good promotion. I like it.
can't
And
think
that's
of
a
the
good
name of it, but the author is Karen Conti.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Karen Quatty.
And that's a great segue into our next questions. Unless Sharon, do you have any other questions about the great
No,
Throwdini?
no, I don't.
All right. Well, so now we delve into the true crime realm and background on myself. So I'm a collector. Yeah, I'm a pen pal of quite a few inmates and some infamous. So we do talk about some of the people that rewrite, not always naming them, but our experiences. And I know part of your collection, which we'll talk about, but you're more of a, as you said, a curator. And I think that's very respectful.
Yes, because I did not create the collection. It
Right.
was a fellow performer of mine, Richard Dickstein, who was a corrections officer up in Westchester, New York. He retired as a sergeant, but then he changed his name legally to Richie Magic, and all he did was magic. And he came to one of my shows one day, befriended me. Then when I produced the show, I used to use Richie in the show to do magic. And, one day we're sitting around having dinner and he goes, by the way, um, got something to tell you. And he said, I have this huge collection of serial killer stuff. And I go, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? And he goes, well, I got 2 storage facilities full of books, letters, art. What the hell are you talking about? He takes me up to the storage facility and shows it to me. And he goes, but honestly, David, I have no idea what the hell I have in here. I've been collecting it for 20 years or more. I don't know what I have. So, me being somewhat of a computer nerd with my entire background as an educator, etc., I pulled out my laptop, opened up a spreadsheet, and said, let's go, get out one box at a time. Indexed the whole goddamn thing. 100 boxes with all the letters and stuff in it. And I, like now, him was aware what was in those boxes. He died maybe 10 years ago of throat cancer. And his wife, Barbara, who had assisted in the collection early on, said, what am I going to do with everything? And I said, you know, I think I'd like to buy it from you and treat it with respect and try to do something very worthwhile with the letters. Because the art is the art. It doesn't have the educational content that the letters have.
Mhm.
So as we speak, I'm probably within a day or two of getting notice from someone who does the Kindex, who used AI software to read my PDF files of the 9,000 letters.
Oh, wow.
And he's just a day
Yeah.
or two away from telling me I've completed the entire process. And what the AI software did was read all the letters, handwritten and typed, and side by side from the original letter next to it is a typewritten, typewritten
Yep.
file that coincides with the original letter.
Yeah.
And the Kindex is searchable. So if, for example, your name is Jeff, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Sharon?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know your last name, but suppose you somewhere along the way thought maybe you crossed paths with Richard Ramirez or John Wayne Gacy or Arthur Shawcross, and you think maybe he mentioned your name in a letter to Richie. I would just go in the Kindex, type in your name, search, bang. It reads all 9,000 or 40 something pages of text in those letters and immediately brings up a file everywhere your name is mentioned. So,
That's exciting and scary at the same time.
correct. So let's say, for
Yeah.
example, now I have a doctoral student who contacted me and said, I'm aware of your index. I'm doing some research. I'm trying to find out if maybe there's been some change in the way they wrote over the years, or are they sorry for what they did? So I said, okay, the archive is available for anyone in law enforcement or, graduate programs of someone doing something in master's or a doctorate in psychology, criminal psychology, whatever. And she's going to have access to go through all those files and perhaps use the word sorry as a search and see who might have expressed some remorse in all those letters.
I would be thinking like it'd be a good thing to read through all that to see if there's any hints to any other, because they sometimes they brag about things
Yeah.
they got away
Yeah.
with.
I
Cold
forgot.
And yeah,
I forgot who it is. I think it's Gore. I'm not sure. I forgot his first name. I remember most of the last names. I think Gore hinted in one of his letters about another body that people didn't know about. So I need to look at that more carefully.
yeah,
I think Christopher Scarver,
Yep.
who clobbered Jeffrey Dahmer.
yep.
There's a lot of stuff in his letters where he's very angry and he's expressing a lot of anger to Richie about how they mistreated him after he murdered Dahmer. And there's implications in there that they promised him they were going to take care of him, move him to another prison, treat him differently, but they didn't do it. So I think this, for someone to really dig into the Scarver letters and see what it is that he's implying, whether or not he acted entirely on his own or the system allowed him to do it by turning their back and then told him he would be treated a little differently afterward. I think there's a treasure chest in there, in that Scarver file, the Gore file, etc.
I agree.
Yep.
He's a hard nut to crack. I've read him a couple times, no reply back. He's also in Colorado, but I hear rumor that he only really writes emails back, which I can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Richie and Barbara started the collection, the only one that really knew who Richie was David Berkowitz. Somehow, maybe because Berkowitz being in a place where Richie had access to him and he was close by, he actually went and visited him. And his disguise of who he really was not necessary. And Richie took David's father to the cemetery where the mother was. So he had a relationship with the father and David. And
you read David only once, right? That was a respectful letter to David Berkowitz.
say that again.
You've written to David Berkowitz once,
No,
right?
no. I wrote once to tell him that Richie died,
Right,
but I never got an answer.
right.
I've written once. I did get a reply, but it was an email reply.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about that? That's an interesting subject because there's a lot of you know about the apps that they write on, correct? Like like the Getting Out app and JPay. Have you heard of those terms?
That's all current stuff, I think.
Yes. So there's a
Right.
lot of communication with the inmates through that they have tablets and they send. It's kind of like an email, right?
Ah,
Some people save them. I don't save them. I have a lot. Honestly, I have a lot of replies daily from five or
Mm.
six different people, and there's things in there that could be beneficial, that could be used by AI as much as their letters.
yeah. Well, I think that's the largest single most, him and Bardo are the largest volumes that I have. I think Berkowitz is 425 letters over some 25 years.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at is Richie told the inmates in the introductory letter as he was talking to them, he was a manager in a strip bar. Sorry. So they were quite interested in finding out about the girls that worked in the titty bar.
Yeah.
And Barbara went ahead and she approached a girl in the bar and said, "Can I take your picture? Here's what it's for. I'm communicating with criminals and I want to send them my picture, but it's really the girl's picture in the bar."
Yeah.
So they, of course, were beside themselves communicating with a stripper, as you know, when they were writing to Barbara and to Richie, thinking he was the manager of a strip club. So that was his disguise, if you will, in getting into and opening a line of communication with with
Very smart.
107 different criminals, I think, that are in the collection.
Times have changed because lots of them, they will want to do a video visits, and then that won't it be it's like the old
Yeah.
episodes of Catfish. It wouldn't work any longer because
Yeah.
now they can see who
Yeah.
you really are.
So I'm gonna, while we're talking about Scarver, and of course that leads me into Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh yeah.
After I bought the collection from Richie some 10 years ago, I have not bought one thing, and I have no interest. No is a strong word. I have a very minor interest in acquiring a couple things of real great value to add to the collection. But I am not per se a collector. Okay.
Yes.
I'm selling art, I'm selling letters. People contact me and ask me if I want to buy anything. No. But the one thing that I did buy, I'm extremely proud of. If you look at this picture, July 24th, 1991,
Famous picture.
the famous picture
Yes.
of Jeffrey Dahmer's booking. There's the enhanced color of the original photo, the original booking photo.
Yep.
And everybody recognizes that photo immediately, knowing who it is,
Yes.
Dahmer, because of those glasses. And that's what I bought.
Wow.
That that is this. It's the,
Wow.
in my words, and nobody has dared to argue with me otherwise, the holy grail of serial killers.
I agree.
Yes. Yes.
And
Holy Grail.
if you look a little closer, you see that brown stuff.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
well, it's pretty much around the entire frame of the glasses. Here's the story that I will give you.
Okay.
I created a presentation that I presented at the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. And it was entitled Serial Killers, Sorry to Batshit Crazy. And I discuss who has expressed sorrow, who has expressed the being proud of what they did, and who the batshit crazy, of course, was Charlie Manson, who you can't even read one of his letters. And in the presentation that I've expanded from that is a whole discussion on Jeffrey Dahmer and his glasses. And in a letter to Richie, he writes, "Oh, I hear you're a bodybuilder. I'd love to see every square inch of your muscular body." So I have this thing with Dahmer, and I'm adding this whole concept of the glasses to the presentation. And then I show the glasses and I show the stain, that brown stuff. And I go, well, it could be mud. Maybe he was just out there playing, digging in his garden and he got mud on his glasses. Maybe. It could be poop. Maybe he just didn't wash his hands and he had a messy diarrhea day. It could be chocolate. He did work at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory.
Yes, he did.
And then, well, maybe it's just a messy day in the kitchen. Who knows? He might have been prepping food that day and got something on his glasses. So let's pretend it was a bad day in the kitchen. And maybe it's blood. So, having said that, I went and got a kit to analyze for blood. And I ran the chemical on the rim of the glass. And then it brings you through a false negative, false positive, brings you through all these steps. But the one thing that finally determines whether it's blood or not is if the Q-tip that you dipped it in, that you put the drops on the Q-tip after you've rubbed it on the stain, is if it turns pink. So I did it. I rubbed it. I'm waiting. Nothing happened. I'm getting all depressed and thinking, maybe it is mud. Maybe it's poop. And I put the Q-tip down on a piece of paper and I'm, getting all depressed and I'm looking at it. Lo and behold, it turns bright pink.
Wow.
Which is the positive test. And bingo, voila, it's blood. So it's confirmed that whatever the hell that is on there, it's not poop, it's not mud, it's not chocolate. It was a bad day in the kitchen with
Bad day
Jeffrey.
in the kitchen. I hope
And
you said that Q-tip. That's part of the story
Yeah,
on the
I took
collection now.
pictures of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And So I've been approached by so many people saying, well, why don't you get the DNA done on, why don't you see this? Why don't you see? I said, listen, it costs thousands to do the DNA on that. And I was told the reason it took so long to turn pink is because that's 30 years old.
Yeah.
It took time for all that to dissolve and the hemoglobin and all the chemistry to take place. It's not like it's fresh blood, but it turned pink. It turned a bright pink. It's blood. And do I want to know whose it is? I couldn't care less. It doesn't matter because it's a closed case. They know everyone that Jeffrey Dahmer butchered. They know everyone he ate. I've seen the crime scene photos. There's blood all over the place. It was a messy ordeal in his apartment. Um, I don't have to know whose it is. All I need to know is it's blood, and it's on Dahmer's glass.
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
that discussion right there of everything it could be and what I just said to you is quite enough. I don't need to know whose it is.
I'd rather think it was his own blood and not having to think about the poor victims on it, but having his
Yeah.
DNA sample be pretty
Someone
cool.
beat him up.
He got
Could
beat
very
up.
well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Are you
those
thinking
are the
those
ones
were?
he was wearing on the night that he was arrested
Oh, okay.
and the and what he wore in the booking photo.
So I was curious if they, because he had prison issued glasses after the fact. I don't know if it was the same style as he's known
Well,
for.
similar. However, those were the provenance of those were that they were given to his attorney, Gerald Boyle. When Jeffrey was convicted, he took them, he wasn't allowed to wear his own glasses to prison.
Okay.
So he took them off, put them in a case, and he gave them to the attorney and said, hold these for me.
There you go.
2 years later, it didn't matter, did it? He was murdered in
He didn't need them.
1994, and he gave them up in 92 after the trial.
Yeah. And his speculations, I know you came across not too long ago the Adam Walsh possibility, which his father pretty much squashed that, knowing it's Otis. The Hollywood, Florida police had documentation that they stored for a long time. I don't know if it's DNA evidence. You've heard that, right? I know you were interviewed not too long ago, thinking that Dahmer might have had something to do with Adam Walsh's death
Oh no,
in
that was
Florida.
possibly Otis Toole,
Yeah.
possibly. But Toole and who the hell was it? Lucas, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. Those two were on the road together. Or was Lucas's cellmate? I forgot. Maybe it was Lucas. Yeah, but they confessed to a ton of crimes, and it's not really sure if any of it's true. A lot of what they said was evidence that was in the newspapers, and I think they were using it for day trips out of the prison to go and get McDonald's for lunch.
I can't fault him for that, honestly. I mean, they're gonna say, what do people
Yeah.
gonna think? What's the worst people will think of me, that I'm a liar? And that's
Yeah,
you know,
stinking murderer. But he lied.
yeah, but he
He
lied.
lied. Oh, who the hell cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a stinking murderer.
I have to
Yeah,
have
I
some
love that
dignity.
one. Yeah.
And another piece of important artifact that you have is you still have it, the OJ knife that he bought prior to the murders. That was kind of similar to maybe what was
The
used.
same knife from the same dealer from the same shelf.
Right.
I think the dealer had two of them. And when Richie saw what was going on, that knife came in evidence. He contacted the store where OJ bought the knife, and that was the last one that the guy had, and Richie bought it. And it's got a blade, I'm telling you, that long. You know, when it's folded, it's this long. When you open it, it's huge.
Ultimate pocket knife.
And yeah, it's not a pocket knife.
No.
And anyone I've showed that knife to, let me tell you, if they say that the victims' throats were cut to the point of literally being severed right back to the spinal cord,
Yeah.
that knife is the one that you would have used.
So
Blade
crazy.
is that long to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you do have articles of clothing, such you have Chris Carver, you have a big jumpsuit that he would
I have
wear,
this
right?
jumpsuit. Yeah, I mean, I did sell that to someone who was a scarver collector, and if I held up, I'm 5'10". When I held up the pants part, the from the floor, the pants would come up to here. They were huge. The guy must have been. He's a giant. He had to be over 6.5, 7 feet tall. He's a monster.
Yeah. So there,
Um,
there's like, I don't know, it's like what, 34. And I don't
yeah,
know. That's
and I
big.
have Robert Bardo's sneakers. He killed a soap opera.
Rebecca Schaefer.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rebecca Schaefer.
Yep.
Guy had huge feet. He must have like a size 12 or 13 sneaker. And I have the underwear, bra, panties, and stuff from Susan Smith. She's the one who drove her kids into the lake
Yeah.
in the back seat of the car. Yeah, some other clothing, miscellaneous stuff.
Don't you have hair as well from
Oh,
anybody?
yeah. Bundy's hair when he was shaved for execution.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Last
John Wayne
haircut.
Gacy, Manson, um, Norris and Bittaker. You know,
Yep.
that pair, the toolbox killers.
Yes.
Norris, I have some of Norris's hair and his fingernail clippings, and several spotches of hair from females. I think Shonda, maybe, is her last name. Yeah, so there's some very famous males and a couple females as well.
That's crazy. And then so people can reach out to you, but like you said, you want serious collectors, not just someone's kind of into
Yeah.
oddities. And you can go to serialkillermurderabilia.com.
Yeah. What the hell is the email? Ugh. Well, I forgot what the email is. It's serial killer murderabilia@gmail.com.
Okay.
Something like that. Or, you know, Throwdini@knifethrower.com. They can reach me through that. And then there's another one, Dr. David Adamovich@gmail.com. If they're interested in sending me a note and asking if they want to buy anything. I am selling off letters. I am selling off art because to a collector, they want the original letter. Kemper, Gacy, Manson, Dahmer, they want those letters. They're hot.
Yes.
But to me, I don't have that personal connection to the letter. If I sell the letter, I keep a photocopy of it in the binder. Sorry. And the PDFs have been kindexed. So the content of the letter exists. A photocopy of the letter exists. But someone who's interested in having a Gacy letter can spend the money and buy a Gacy letter. Good for them. It makes them happy as a collector.
Have you read any of these letters? I mean, it's a lot to have to go through, but curiosity.
Yeah, I have. I've read a lot of them. Was it Scarver? G.J. Schaefer is a bit of a madman. He was
Yes.
a cop down in Florida. He was very proud of what he did, and he described all the murders and drew pictures of it, of how he would strangle the women. Gore's letters are extremely gory. Gory.
Gory. Hmm.
Appropriate name.
Arthur Shawcross, yeah, he kind of fessed up to what he did. He didn't describe the killings though, like Gore and Schaefer did. But a lot of the other letters are very quite mundane, speaking about their food, sporting events, the weather. I think Gacy letters are really pretty interesting. He was a raging homosexual that would spend a good part of his day pleasing himself, if you will.
Oh, but
And-
he's bisexual, not homosexual.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Oh, well, he had a
Did
wife.
he ever own up to being homosexual?
I don't think so.
I don't
No.
know. But well, you say he's bi.
Well, he claimed to be bi, not homosexual, but yeah,
Oh
Right.
yeah,
He would get
but
touchy on the subject if he called them straight out.
yeah,
he was quite interested in males in his letters
For sure.
yes,
and speaking himself.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the letters, a huge amount of the content of Gacy letters relate to that topic of
mm-hmm,
how he would um, head to head is the term.
yeah,
He put his shoulders on the ground and his back up against the wall and masturbate and then swallow the ejaculate. And he would he would comment to Richie on what it tasted like based on what his dinner was the night before. You know, how it would affect the taste of his ejaculate.
So at least he took himself out on a date first and he bought himself dinner before he
That's
got to the
correct.
nasty stuff.
That's correct.
Good for Gacy. Oh
It was
man.
a self-made date.
Yeah, self-made date. Oh, he's strangle himself. But and your website has been authenticated by the great Rick Staten.
Correct. I had Rick to the house after we got the collection. We got him airfare. We took him out. He spent a week with us, and he literally went through everything, letters, art, everything. And he gave us the seal of approval that there was absolutely 100% authenticity to everything in the collection.
I could picture it. He'd probably look around. It was like a kid in a candy store, and he goes, "Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the real deal."
And he
Got
knew
my
Richie
seal.
because Richie bought some of the Gacy
Yeah,
pogos through Rick State. Yeah, Staten was a nice guy. I think he's kind of pretty much out of the business these days and he's moved on in life. But
I don't,
occasionally send him a note, say hello.
I don't blame him. I mean, it's that much time spent, and that's very common for. After a while, it gets overwhelming, right? Even just a light interest of reading these letters, hearing these people's stories, it can really get to you.
Yeah. I'm often asked, doesn't the stuff spook you? Don't you feel there's a bad juju? You know, do you feel the spirits and everything? No, I don't believe in all of that. It's a goddamn letter. You read it,
Yeah,
yeah,
and the people, there were a handful of maybe 6 or 8 or 10 people that volunteered to cross-check the, I'm sorry, 33 hours of audio tape and the 9,000 letters. So the AI might have been 96% accurate, but the other 3 or 4% um, is actually being looked at. They're listening to the audio tape, looking at the transcript, and making sure it's accurate. And the same thing with the letters. And all of those people that volunteered to do it, we said, look, this is nasty stuff.
yeah.
It's nasty. It is not pleasant. Some of them just dove in, loved it, and a handful of them just said, nah, this is not for me. I don't, I don't like reading what I'm reading. Because some
fair
of it's
enough.
pornographic, it's graphic, it's someone describing how they murdered someone.
It's tough.
There's a lot of stuff in those letters.
Yeah,
It's weird. But, does it bother me? Not at all. Not, I'm an educator. I look at it for the educational content. Um, hopefully somebody else can look in the letters and find something out that I didn't realize was there. I'm happy.
That's a good way to look at it. It's a good way to separate yourself. Now, what if someone would approach you with their collection and not to sell? As you mentioned, some people have reached out to you, but they want to donate or they want you to archive it. Are you open for archiving other
Yes,
people?
where the next step of where we are going with the Kindex is to approach other collectors who might want to collaborate with their collection and offer their letters to be put into the index. Again, it's for an educational reason.
yeah,
It's for law enforcement. It's for psychology, criminal psychology. Um, if they add to my database, there might be something in their letters over a different time span. My
Mm.
letters might be from, let's say, 1980 to 2000. Maybe their letters are before then or after then. It might be interesting to see the evolution of that particular criminal over the years in prison, how they've changed about what they wrote about, how they wrote. Um, there's a whole big thing about Bundy when he uh, before they convicted him, or before he really got nailed in his trial, everything was I this, I that. He was very boastful about what he did. Then afterward, the entire nature of his conversation about when he wrote about talked about himself was entirely different. So a linguist can read into that stuff in what he says and what he writes. And that I think is a great treasure trove of what's in those letters and the audio tapes.
Yeah, yeah. He was giving knowledge on the practice. There was a lot he could have unfortunately taught at least law enforcement on how to approach. And that's what I was leading to another question of like modern day true crime. There's a younger generation that are part of the true crime generation, and they look up to serial killers and mass shooters, and they kind of base their crime upon that. And they're themselves now are pen pals, right? So that's a whole different generation on how they got influenced, and are they seeking are they changing how are they changing themselves, and how can we stop kind of the youth going down their path, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Excuse me. It's rather ironic that Kohlberger, who murdered the those 4 college students,
Yeah.
was himself a doctoral student in criminal justice. When I heard that, I flipped. I said, "You got to be kidding! Of all the things this guy's studying, he's a doctoral student in criminal justice." Well, you think he would have learned something? You think he would have knew about crimes and not to get caught
Not,
to figure?
yeah.
But I guess there's just no
Yeah.
such thing as the perfect crime. Even a guy like that, as
And,
smart as he was,
well, and the human
got him.
condition. Yeah, the heat of the moment, the different mental defects versus educational mind. There's a battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of weird. Everything is on the news. Everything is you do one little thing and it's out there and becomes an expose, right? And that's kind of what draws these people into it. They want their 15 minutes of fame that Warhol promised,
Mhm.
but not for doing the right things.
No.
And now if they write a manifesto and post it on their Facebook site, it's around the world instantly.
Yeah.
And everybody's taking screenshots of it.
Yeah.
So you can't even get it down after you've done it. It's
No,
too late.
Yeah.
Done.
exactly.
Screwed.
Have you had any weird requests come to you as far as wanting to purchase something, ask someone looking for something very odd that they think you might have?
No, just the usual stuff they see. I run a Facebook page called Serial Killer Murderabilia True Crime Collectibles. It's got like 6,000 members on it. And occasionally I get a note from someone that's asking me, am I selling this or am I selling that? And, everybody wants a Gacy Pogo the Clown. I had 2 of them. I sold them off a long time ago. Um, but now I'm still getting requests for letters, Kemper's, Kemper, Manson, Dahmer, Gacy, the usual stuff.
Heavy hitter, especially Kemper, because he doesn't write anymore and he doesn't have his celly write for him anymore. He's on the Getting Out app, but he doesn't reply back if he even
No.
looks at him.
Yes, I think having handwritten and typed letters from these people is quite an interesting thing considering how it's all changed. And like you say, if they have a tablet or something that they can send emails back and forth, all the handwritten stuff is gone. Over.
It's
Letters.
phasing out, and
Yeah.
mostly for them because a lot of letters you send to them now are all scanned, so they don't usually get the actual letter from you. If you send a picture, they'll just get scans. This is to help
Mm.
stop contraband from coming in, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to stop you soon for them to send you a letter. It'll probably just you have to go online to read everything.
Yeah. That puts
And
it into all the pen pal stuff, doesn't it?
it
In a
yeah,
sense that we know it from our generation.
right.
Mm.
And I mean, I guess in a kind of a good way, that can help stop things from coming out. It might stop encouraging people to, it's kind of those things like I don't encourage people to write, even though I do it myself. We try to teach the do's and don'ts of things not to do, because it's when I was in junior high, we would write to the military in Desert Storms. We would write the soldiers, and they would send photos back. Writing someone who's a serial killer, or just someone who's incarcerated, you're not necessarily dealing with the most honest people. And there's a lot of scams that they run. There's a lot of scams that people run on them as well. So it's a huge, not just the friendliest letters back and forth.
Right. Well, look, Richie was running a scam on them
Right.
when they thought they were talking to a strip bar owner. Barbara, they were sending to a stripper. And you can tell, I'd have to look at that in the letters, but early on, if they were playing the same game back, and then maybe once they warmed up to each other, the nature of the letter might change. I'd have to look at that. It's just an interesting thing to see how the first couple letters became something more personal that lasted for years of letter writing.
I'd like to hear how that goes. Like, create a list of keywords to find out different subjects. Like, look up commissary and money and see how often that they're asking for it.
Oh,
how it's being given.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Richie sent thousands of dollars to them.
Yeah.
Thousands over the years.
Yeah.
First thing, a letter from any of them back would say, I got your letter and I got the money, or I got the stamps, because they were constantly asking for stamps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Constantly. And then, or they'd say, oh, I got the money, thank you, that went into my commissary. So basically, I bet the only people that had an ongoing relationship, letter writing wise, back in those days, were people that were sending something in the letter. Not just, oh, hi, how are you today? But, hi, how are you? Here's some stamps. Those are the ones that kept the open line of communication.
It's rare. And so Sharon and I, we both write Robert Bardo, as we've mentioned him. He's probably one of the only few who wants nothing from you, other than he likes to talk with you. So he's one of the few that doesn't want anything.
He just wants everybody to be friends.
He introduced people together.
Yeah.
He had, I think there's 10 or 15, maybe 20 volumes from him. He would sometimes write Barbara 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And he actually fantasized that she was his wife. I mean, in letters,
Not
it was
surprised.
very clear that he was writing to who he thought was his wife.
He gets very attached to females.
He does.
Yep. And he did some interesting drawings. He drew pictures of Rebecca Schaefer. He did a lot of artwork in his letters.
Those are rare. If you still have those, he doesn't do that any longer. He will not.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do any true crime pictures either. I
But
got a nice birthday card last weekend from him, though.
Oh, and I listened to one of his tapes the other day, the audio tapes. Sounds like I'm sorry. Sounds like a friendly guy. You'd love to go out and have a beer with him. A lot of them, if I listen to audio tapes, I can tell you in so many of the audio tapes, these are the nicest people you can imagine. You cannot tell from a phone conversation what you're dealing with.
Right.
And funny, you got a guy like Manson. If you look at his letters, it's gibberish. He was completely dumb and illiterate. I can't put it any other way.
True.
You cannot read 2 sentences in a row that guy wrote that make any sense. He wrote in rhymes. He wrote with crayon. You think you were dealing with a 3rd grader. Yet, in a phone conversation, sounds like you and I holding a conversation. Perfectly normal on the phone.
He knows what you want to hear, right?
Back in my day, I'm not a kid, but when I grew up, there was a very common expression about drop a dime. If you were going to tell on someone, you would drop a dime.
Yep.
Manson, in one of the phone conversations, says to Richie, in trying to get Richie to contact a lawyer for him, said, Richie, I need you to roll a nickel. Now that goes to show you, I mean, as old as I am, Manson's, he's got me beat when a phone call was a nickel, not a dime.
He's on a
And he
budget.
was roll a nickel for me
Yeah.
instead of drop a dime. And now what does it cost? A quarter for the first few seconds to initiate a phone call in a phone booth?
Phone booth. You
Maybe
still have
more.
phone booths out there?
Yeah, correct. All right.
I haven't seen that in years.
I think in the airport you may find some
Possibly. But
some
I miss
point
those. They should
operator
bring things
shop.
back. I want phone booths. I want Blockbuster back. What else do we
Oh,
need
yes,
back?
Blockbuster. Yes.
Yeah. I tell my kids, you don't know what you're missing. Yeah, it's great to stream things at the ease of your fingertips, but it's the hunt for finding a movie or yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what you mentioned now about how the whole letter writing thing is just email, electronic from a tablet or whatever, versus in Richie's day when it was all handwritten letters, and occasionally one would come back and say it was not allowed because the stamp or whatever. It was just strange how the prisoners really that the system had their thumb on those prisoners big time
Mm.
and would control the slightest thing that came in that they weren't happy with got sent back. Now you can't. There's no need for that. It's all just digital.
Not quite. Well, it's still monitored, and if you say
Yeah,
certain words, like
absolutely.
if you say colors like black because it's drug related, it could get flagged. So it has to be approved. Someone has to read the messages, and
Mm.
if you want to say like you mentioned the word kill or the word black, you have to put like spaces between it so it gets approved. So there's still a finagling
Wow.
going on.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a recent case with we talked about it last episode. The Ghost Adventurer. I don't know if you watch the show Ghost Adventures or familiar with it. One of their investigators, his wife was pen pals with a recent famous killer. They built a relationship, and he had what they call a butt phone, right? He had a contraband phone in prison. They were communicating on it, and they're plotting her husband's death. So it's these folks have access to a lot of things legally and illegally that maybe they shouldn't have, right? And it's letters it takes like a week or two to get, right? And you can't really put a whole lot on there because they're usually read. So I think with technology, it's can create more crime to occur.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. Sharon, do you have anything?
Um, no, I don't think so. Other than you are getting married, you mentioned. Did you say in October the 10th you're
Oh no,
using the knife as a
I'm marrying a famous knife thrower in Vegas.
congratulations?
I'm performing the ceremony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
You're
wait, right.
marrying that. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
The terminology is the same. I'm sorry. You're right. You heard me say I'm marrying a knife thrower, well, no, I'm performing
Yeah,
the
they're
ceremony.
performing the ceremony.
I'm the officiant performing the ceremony for Rick Limburg, a very famous sport knife thrower in Las Vegas.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Ah,
it should be a
I'm
fun
sorry.
wedding.
Now,
Yes, that brings me back to my minister life when I'm in a mall somewhere and somebody comes up and I'm with my girlfriend and the mother comes to me, you married my daughter. And I'm saying, well, no, I didn't. I'm not
no,
married to your daughter.
no.
Yeah.
I hope you get to bring the two together. Since as he's a knife thrower, you have to throw knives at him as they're saying their vows.
Well, we've been conjuring up a few funny things.
Yeah,
That might just happen. I don't know.
we'd like to hear
I've,
about that.
I've thrown
Hopefully,
knives at weddings before,
okay.
where the bride and groom had me as the entertainment during their cocktail hour, or I put a bride on my wheel of death and spun her around after I married them. So I've mixed all that.
Yeah, that's great. You're still leading a very interesting life. I've had a pleasure of watching a lot of YouTube videos on you lately, just to kind of get knowledged up on it. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's phenomenal. I was going to ask you about the paranormal, but you've already answered that for me. So we're not, so no, there's no paranormal activity around his collection. I'm assuming no odd experiences with the paranormal in your life in general.
No, I do have right up there.
Oh, I do.
That's from the 1940s or 50s, I think. Almost done. And you know, it's a spirit bell, so if somebody lies or says something they shouldn't, the bell rings.
That's very cool. Well, on that note, I don't want to take too much of your time. I froze there for a minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you
Technical
froze. You
difficulty.
always freeze.
Do I?
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
talking
wow.
about
You're like,
a spirit bell
"Is
and
that
you
you still there?"
froze. I think there's something suspicious right there.
Actually, that's what happened when you start talking about the spirit bills when things got a little wonky. But
I think hold on 1 second. Let me see. No, I don't know where it is. Hold on.
Well, look, we get to peek into his cupboards too.
I'm looking for the thing that makes it ring. I can't find it. Okay.
well, thank you for joining us on the Jeff Show. Isn't it a crime? That's what we call it.
Well,
A
thank you.
pleasure.
Pleasure
Love to
talking
have you
to
back in the
both.
future. What's that?
It's been a pleasure
Oh,
talking to
yes.
you both. And I look forward to when this comes out. I'm anxious to hear it and or see it, as the case may be.
Yes. We'll share the link. Sharon, anything else to add before we go?
No, this has been fun. I've learned a lot,
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
been good to get to know you.
Thank you.
definitely.
Same here.
All right. Everybody enjoy their Saturday or
Okay.
Sunday.
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 Oh, she's already ahead of us, right? You're
She's ahead.
12.
She's
Yeah,
in the future.
I'm in the future.
I'm ready. I'm ready for my dinner and you're ready for your breakfast.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Love it.
Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Same here. Bye-bye.